Hey, this is G from Outlier Automation. Today I'm going to be showing how to set up users and groups in Siemens UMC or User Management Component and connect them to TIA Portal and then use them in a TIA Portal project. So let's get started in setting it up. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do in connecting UMC to TIA Portal is to go to TIA Administrator, which is installed with TIA Portal. I have version 18 here. This is a web application, and in order to actually use it, you do need to configure IIS or Internet Information Services from Windows. So make sure you turn that on before you try to use this tool. I showed how to do it in previous videos. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. And you're going to log on using whatever Windows user that you have. And we're going to go to Central User Management. And so this is where we are going to be connecting to our server, which I set up in previous videos. And we're going to be basically saying that we, as our TIA Portal instance, are the agent, and we're going to be getting our users and groups from the server, the UMC server. So first we're going to select agent. And then you want to type in your name of the server. Be aware that you need to be able to have domain name resolution here in order to actually get this to work. So if that's not working for you, make sure you bring in an IT person or configure that correctly. Okay. So I found that there. You want to type in here someone who is the administrator of the server. By default, this was created in the configuration of the server in one of our previous videos. I'm going to go ahead and approve and connect. And that's all we need to do in order to go ahead and get TIA Portal recognizing that we have a server connected. Now that we've connected our TIA Portal computer to the UMC server, we need to actually make sure that we have users and groups in order to import into TIA Portal, and I haven't done that yet. Let's go over to the web UI that is going to be the web browser which we enabled on the configuration of the UMC server. That is going to be accessible and anywhere in our network now. So let's go to that domain name that we set up and log in with the administrator credentials. Okay, and the first place we want to go is groups. So this is going to be what you'd think of as your normal Active Directory groups. In my case, I want to set up a maintenance group and an engineer group, and then OT management. If you recall, this tool UMC server is going to be where we want to centrally manage all of our users and groups. In case someone leaves, we want to be able to remove them here, and then on the TIA Portal side, we want to give whoever is in part of groups or the users different roles or authentication levels to actually do something on the PLC or HMI side. However, I will note that the reason why I'm including this OT management group is because you don't really want your engineers and your operators to be able to access the security part necessarily and be able to add and subtract users unless you have like maybe a lead or a management person. That's why I'm including this operational and technology management group. And specifically, if you go to this roles section, I know I said that we're not really doing roles in the UMC server, but it is a pretty robust tool on the UMC server side, and it does include by default this UMC admin and UMC viewer role. And what this UMC viewer role does in TIA Portal, it actually allows you to sign on and synchronize those UMC users and groups to TIA Portal. And so you need some user or group in order to actually do that. So I'm going to use that OT management group to be able to have that UMC admin and UMC viewer role. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and set up our groups. So we're going to have maintenance, engineers, and our OT management. Okay, I'm going to go to users. Outlier user is the admin that we created on setting up the UMC server. And we're going to do the username Julie Engineer so that it's clear who's who. Joe And I'll note that in details, you can go ahead and change different attributes here. But in order to actually assign them a group, we're going to go back to groups. And in details, actually add them. So go to members. So I'm an engineer, so that's Julie. Save. Maintenance. Details. Members. That's Joe. Okay. And then in OT management, I'm going to add my default outlier credentials. And I'm also going to assign that UMC viewer role that I mentioned before. And the admin. So that's what we're going to configure on the UMC side right now. So now we're going to go over to TIA portal, and I have this project open already. This is just a demo project that I downloaded from Siemens for the library of basic processes. I'm just using it as a thing that has blocks populated. I also upgraded it to version 18. The important place that we're going to go, though, is the security settings. This is a global setting. This will apply to all of the devices that you have in the left-hand project tree. And you go to settings, and the first thing you have to do is protect this project. And it will ask for a project administrator. This is not connected to the UMC server. This is basically a hard-coded name or credential in the project in case it ever gets disconnected or you need to sign in again. And you'll see that there's this security features just got added. There's actually a ton of stuff that just got added, and this is more for the network security and device side configurations. There's a ton here, and Siemens is great about keeping abreast of that. But what we're going to be using is not this, it's the users and roles. And what you see at this top is this little information. If you don't see this banner like this, you'll want to just click on the eye. And you want to go ahead and do synchronize, and that's where it's going to start bringing in our users and groups that we just configured. Okay, and this is that global user with the view rights, which I mentioned is that operational management group, and I assigned my default administrator outlier. Okay, and you can see that now we've synchronized. And I usually close this now because where it starts to get confusing is that actually we have this now different panels at the top right. And if you don't close it, then I always forget it's there. And I'm also just going to add in my groups here. So you could add more users here if you wanted to locally. And what you can see here is that there's actually some default roles that are added. The engineering administrator and standard, you can see what they do. You might want to just have those by, not add additional custom roles, but the administrator can basically do everything. Engineering standard can do almost everything except safety and security configuration. And then net administrator is kind of more like what you would think of as the IT side. But what I'm going to do is on the maintenance and engineering groups, I'm going to add roles. And the maintenance side is going to be able to just view things but not change them. And the engineer side, I'm just going to do this engineering standard. So let's do the view role. I'll do view maintain, I'll say. So they can open the project, they cannot edit it, they cannot download hardware, the devices, they could monitor the PLC program. Traces are useful for maintaining. Obviously maintain HMI device. And let's say that's all they can do. Okay, so let's go back to user groups. And now you can see that we have this view maintain. Let's say that that's just the maintenance side. And our engineers are going to be the engineering standard. And our OT management, let's say that there are the net administrators. Okay, great. Now at the top, you can see that I was actually already signed in as admin. So we need to sign out and impersonate some of the other people. So Joe Maintenance is probably the most interesting to look at because he's now this view maintain role, this custom role. So I'm going to do log off and close project. Yes. And you'll want to log back in using global user. And looking now at one of the blocks, say it's demo. You can see now we have this, that it's read only because we do not have the right to edit the PLC program. But it should let us go online. I don't actually have this connected to the project, but we could go on online and actually monitor the PLC now because that's what I gave to the maintenance group. Okay, great. So if we wanted to check the Julie person, we would just sign out again. The other thing that's interesting is that you can lock the project. So let's say someone walked away and they don't want anyone to change it. You can just lock it, type in your password again to open it. And obviously, as you can see, you can change your password and the user. So let's say let's switch over to Julie. And you can see it changed to Julie at the top. We don't have that banner anymore because Julie is an engineer and can edit it. So I could go ahead and change this now. And that's pretty much it to this. It allows a ton of flexibility. You can also connect all of these users to WinCC, WinCC Unified, or Comfort and Advanced. There's a bunch of features there which we'll cover in future videos. So I hope you enjoy checking out this feature of UMC connected to TI Portal, and good luck. Talk to you next time.